The Alter Rebbe explained up till here that there's three groups of malachim, the Gemara says in Cohen. One group of malachim says Kodesh once, that's the Srofim from the world of Bria. And then there's the Ifanim in the world of Yitzira, they say Kodesh, Kodesh. And that's a tremendous chukah that the Shekhinah Shabin is Galalamato through Torah. This he continues, he finishes the Maimer. Then the Gemara says in Chulin that there's a third cut. There are the malachim that say 3 times Kodesh. They say 3 times Kodesh. So we're starting page 33. We're starting from Zion. And it's in the Likkutei Torah on the 4th column of Omud of Daf Lamed Beis. Third kat says Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. And just like he explained in yesterday's Maimon, is the avoid of the 2 kittis malachim. Then there's the third kat of malachim, and that's b'chol meodech. What's meodech? Bli gvul, ein sof, and you have to bring down the ein sof b'chol meodech lemato mamish, and that's through ma'aseh mitzvahs. And this is what you say, Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvah, so that through mitzvahs you bring Kodesh Lamato. What's a pshat? Also on Torah we make the bracha Asher Kiddushanu al divrei Torah, that Torah brings it Lamato. But then there's the uft of mitzvahs, the mitzvahs bring it Lamato. To understand what's in the pshat b'chol meidech. Bring the Shekhinah Lamata through Ma'aseh Mitzvahs Dafka. Be understood what it says. Baruch Hu Hashem Malach of גיבורי Keach. Kol Tzvav Mishors of Esher Itzene. What does it mean? They make Hashem's Racon. It doesn't just mean that they make Hashem's Racon. They make by Hashem Racon. They should want to come down to Elomes. He's higher than Elomes. He doesn't need them. Like it says, Ani, a violation. We learned in the previous Maimor, in the beginning of the Maimor. And even though that Torah is called Maleilam, so what's the difference from the Torah and the Shekhinah? Torah is also called Maleilam. Alpayim Shona, 2,000 years. But the Eibush is higher than Alpayim. Alpayim is Chochma Bina. Like it says, Aleph Chochma. Aleph Bina, those are the 2,000 years. The Eibush is higher than Chochma Bina. Like it says, Kulam Chochma Shishon, that even Chochma is like Asiya Gufnis, like the physical Asiya. So he says, even though in the beginning of creation, the Eibush did it Bechesed Chino. Like it says, V'teiras Chesed, there's no person to work. The Eibush made everything work. But now we have to do it. Malach of גיבורי Keach with our Sato to make the Eibush Racon, that he should want to let go from the Heiche Madriges and come down the mat. What does this? Dafke Teiro Mitzvahs. They make a Racon by the Eibush to be Melech Oilom, to come down and be this Tzimtzum world. And this is what's pshat in the pasuk. Asisem Esom. And the Emor says, Asisem Esom, Atem Kilu Asuni, you'll make me. Make the Shir Kema, make him Mariodam, make that the infinity should come down in Tzimtzum and Asisfiris to be a mocker for Shabbos Eilomis. This is the Pshat Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam. Baruch is Hamshach that Havaya Elokeinu should come down to Tzaddik. Melech Olam should come down and give life to the world. Why Hashem? Why could you do this? Because Kidshalim Mitzvah, you have the Keach of Mitzvahs that make him to be Melech Olam. So we understand the three kittas of Malachim, how they are Lamaila, and how they are Bavoida B'nefesh Adam. But there's a difference. The Torah mitzvahs is the same thing. They bring the Shekhinah Lamata. So what's the difference with Torah mitzvahs? 1 second. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakil niyah b'dvarim. So the what's the difference? They both bring the Shekhinah Lamata. Masber through Torah Mamshech Pnimiyos. Through learning Torah, Chumash and Torah Shabbat, because Malchus is connected with Torah Shabbat. Like it says, the Maimon Chazal Masnis in Malchus. When a Yid learns Divrei Torah, there's a Dvar Avaya there, like it says, Vasam Dvar Beficha. Through the mitzvahs Maisis, you bring down our Chitzenis for the Rebbe, come down to the lowest levels. Like through Tzedakah, you bring down the Ashpa from the Rebbe Shlachis through Ashpolim, make the low people lift up their life and their spirits. And these two levels of Torah mitzvahs are connected. We say it also in Krishma. First, we say V'dibarto bom. V'dibarto means talking. Barto also means to be mamshech, to lead, to make. Bom, which should come there and safe. In the Pnimis or Ilames, that's the state, the level of the Ifanim. That's learning Torah. And it says Ukshartom, which is mitzvahs maisis in Krishma, because all mitzvahs maisis are like film. But you have to bring it down a matzah. So you have to write echod on a physical achma, and a mezuzah. You have to have the third kat. This is what the third kat says, and what we say. Kodesh, 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 Hashem says, B'chol haaretz kevede, to come down the mata, and that's through mitzvahs. Even though it's Torah mitzvahs. Mitzvahs, it comes, says the Tzemach Tzedek in the footnote, comes in Chitzenias. So they're both milmayla lamata, they're b'chol nafshech and b'chol meodech. But the first kat is milmata lamayla, which is b'chol lavotcha, which is a yearning to totally expire and be one with the Rebbe. As to the Tzemach Tzedek, we know someplace else that it's explained that B'chol Meidech is just the opposite. That not B'chol Meidech is a desire to bring the infinity lamata into the lowest realm through my mitzvahs, but it's have a higher indicator. So he says like this. B'chol Meidech has many interpretations. What my grandfather here in the Maimah is talking about B'chol Meidech is my mitzvahs, is according to the Pirush B'chol Meidech means with all your money. And money is tzedakah, is ma'aseh mitzvahs. And even though that ma'id means blig, but it's blig to come down lamata, like it says Rechova mitzvoscha, the mitzvahs is made in the kakeli, ma'id to bring down ma'id lamata, like it's explained in great length. Nageres HaKodesh, Dibra Maschil. There's tzaddikim that learn, they bring the Torah and Pnimis Elomes. People do Ma'aseh mitzvahs, bring down the world the Chitzenis Elomes. Then the Alter Rebbe explains, it's a hemshech from the Maimon. But he explains another pasuk in Menigdashti, it says, Ani avaya mikadish, I make you holy. What's he saying? How could a person through physical mitzvahs and Torah that speak about physical mitzvahs bring Ein Shei Baruch Hu, that's infinite, that's less mashavat v'isa beklal? So he says, Ani avaya mekadishchem. Avaya is how an earth comes from a higher level to a lower level. That's avaya. whenever an Ein goes from a higher level to a lower level, it needs an Havaya. It needs a Yud, which is a Tzimtzum. Then you have this Nakud, and you have some Eirech V'Reicha in the Hay. Then once it's a Metzias for itself, it could have a Vav to go down to Heitator and create the world. So he says, Ani Havaya Mikadish. In order to bring down Kodesh, the Torah Mitzvahs Maisiyas, Ani, I make it for you. I make that through Torah Mitzvahs you should bring it. I give you koyach to do it. But in order you should be able to do it, you have to make yourself a proper vessel. So you have to be v'nigdash to protect b'nei Yisrael. You have to first have Kodesh. You have to get the fire in your heart going. That burns like the srofim. Then you're able to do it. Because you do it, then I'll be ani avai mekadishchem. I'll have the other two levels to bring down this high level of Kodesh in Kelim Mitzvah and Leisheseh. And this is how you make vessels by blacksmith. You make a fire. First you make a fire and you put it in the fire, and then you could do whatever you want to make all different shapes and forms. We have a lot of mitzvahs deiraisa, a lot of mitzvahs derabonon, kelim, sheni. Yein malchus is all the wine that you bring in these vessels that you make. Is but you need a fire, the fire of the srofim. And then that makes you, that all your Torah mitzvahs should be proper vessels to be mamshech this very high oil. This is what it says in the pasuk. If you look in Parshas Emor, before v'lisachalalo, before v'nigdashti, there's a step before. V'lo yisachalalo. Don't ruin it. Don't defame this wonderful light through Avedas. Don't have any hollowness, any hefsek between you and the Rebishter. It says, your sins separate between you and the Rebishter. So if you have a separation, a cholo that separates between you and the Rebbeinu Shalom, blowing in your spark will not help. Not only won't it help, you'll extinguish the spark that you have. This is what the pasuk says, V'lo yisachalalu. In order that it should work, the whole v'nigdashti thing that we're talking about has to be V'lo yisachalalu. You have to be surmeira. The Alter Rebbe continues that this is the meaning of V'lo yisachalalu that says before v'nigdashti, don't ruin it. You have the ability to be v'nigdashti. Don't ruin it by having Averis and doing things against the Eibishter's Ratzon. You ruin the whole thing. He says further, then there could be v'nigdashti, then there could be ani Hashem kadishka. And he writes in a footnote at Tzemach Tzedek that you find the same idea in the Maimer with the Alter Rebbe in the Midbar Sinai Be'el Meir, that first you have to have Yitzis Mitzrayim, Then you could come to the levels of Midbar Sinai and Eilmeyet. But that's V'leisach Halalu. And there's another Maimon that explains this Maimon. See on the bottom, footnote 67, a Maimon from the Alter Rebbe. And this Maimon, Rab Moshe, the son of the Alter Rebbe, wrote, it's miyusad on a zeha. These same inyonim, miyusad on a zeha in Parshas Emor. Says the Alter Rebbe, explain what we learned about v'nigdash b'tech b'nei Yisrael, about the 3 levels of Malachim. You have to be magdim what it says, and I am Mehemne Pasha Semer, and this pasuk v'nigdashti. What does it say? There is kodesh, and there is kadosh with a vav. Jews say kodesh. When Jews do kedusha, Beshmanaseh do kedusha, the vav goes higher. The vav is the zah goes higher to chokhmah, and when they go higher, kodesh shines in them, and they become kadosh. It brings you on the bottom the whole zayah. Okay. See on the bottom, he has the translation of the Zayar. It's called Kodesh. Then there's a Shvil Dak. And then there's a Vav in the Kodesh becomes Kodesh. And then it goes into Hey. So it's Kodesh, Kodesh with a Vav is the way it shines in Zoh. And then it becomes Kedusha. And you didn't do it like the Malachim. When you didn't do it, they elevate the Shamayim, and it's Kodesh, and then it shines on the Kisei, which is Eilam Abria, which is Shamayim, and then it's Kodesh. This is the secret of Kedusha. These words of the Zehar are very Kabbalistic, and we'll understand it with this Maimon. Goes further than the Maimon. Says the Pietz Chaim from that is Al-Shara Kishma explaining the Zehar, and he says Kodesh, the Vov of Tiferet, gets from Kodesh, and that's Kodesh, and it comes down into Tiferet, and is the Kodesh HaBeis. And this is Pshat, and that I am a Hemne, that the Shamayim go back to its place. Then it goes to Yisrael, it's Kodesh Gimel. Then it comes to Malchus. This is Pshat of the Arizal in the Zohar. It says also in the Zohar that this light goes down, and the tzaddik makes them all holy. And he brings the kodesh, it should be lamata. This is the Raya Mehemni. To understand Pshat in this cryptic Zohar, says the Alter Rebbe, we can understand it with Akdom, what it says in Eitz Chaim. Chaim of that is als masbir that a yid should poil the yichud of Abba v'Imo. He needs to have the man, the female waters. He has to have ultimate mesiras nefesh and devotion to the Rebbe with Krishna, totally given over. But to accomplish yichud zu and zo and malchus, it's enough to have halo asman through regular Torah mitzvahs. That's why the Gemara says that even though someone that learns Torah has to be mafsik krishma, has to stop and learn krishma, because Torah accomplishes yichud zun, but Torah doesn't accomplish yichud abba v'ima, which is much greater. And he brings the Gemara in Broches that God the lakedi krishma ve'inosa yeser meisik b'Torah. Someone who reads krishma is greater than Torah because it's total devotion, total mesiras nefesh, and it causes yichud abba v'ima. Says that Tzemach Tzedek in a footnote, even though there's a Likkutei Torah that is on Parsha Bereshis, that the word mitzvah and havaya are the same thing, because mem tzadik of mitzvah is Yud-Kei, through the at-bash, that the aleph is a tof, a beis is a shin. So mem and tzadik are Yud-Kei. Yud is mem and He is tzadik. That means that through a mitzvah, says that you also make yichud abba v'ima. So what's, you say here the Torah mitzvah doesn't do yichud abba v'ima. There's a mefuresha Harizal that it does do yichud abba v'ima. Answers the Tzemach Tzedek, you say it's not Yud-Kei, it's Mechulofes b'mem tzadik. When you say it's not the real thing, meaning it's not complete Gilui like Vovke, the Yud-Kei is hidden. The main yichud abba v'ima is mesiras nefesh. It's also with a mitzvah, but it's not the main thing, it's a lower level. So he says, the Alter Rebbe further, what's the reason? What's the reason that it takes lower to do yichud zun than to do yichud abba v'ima? Because when the המשכת is already in Atzilus, so it's already in Seder Shtalshlus, and it's already in zun, you have to bring it down to bia. This is the yichud zun. Amnu neshamas from Atzilus to bria. Since it's already there, so regular Torah mitzvahs could also be mamshech. Your mamshech from the kelim and zun to kelim the bia. Says the Rebbe the Tzemach Tzedek, the learning of Torah, even though he says that Torah mitzvahs could do yichud zun, to be mamshech from Atzilus and bria, it has to be in bittul, because if it's not the bittul, it's v'lo yisachalel, like we learned in the end of the previous maimer. You make a hefsek between you and the Eibishter. It's the ego, like it says, gam teirei, he's not bottled to the Eibishter. But it's a keli. You understand Torah, and you're doing the mitzvahs. What mesiras nefesh is to go out from the keli totally. Aha, that could be great yichud avo. So and look for the Eidos already in Atzilus. The Esek Torah mitzvahs are also keli. Torah is zo, mitzvahs is malchus. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, a footnote. Says in Peirik Tanya Peirik Chof Hey, the Torah mitzvahs, in order to do it and make sure nothing gets in the way, you need mesiras nefesh. Like the Alter Rebbe explains there in Tanya, that if you realize that you would die for the Eibishter, so any other Nisayan is easier to do. Says the back to the Alter Rebbe, in order to be mamshech yichud abba v'ima, which is hamshochas ein chodosh that wasn't yet in the Kiyam that Silas up till now. You want to do a new hamshocha? That you need mesiras nefesh, because you're getting from Kesser, you're getting from true infinity. Because Abba v'ima gets from Kesser, and Kesser gets from Atik, till Ein Sof HaMatzil. Or the Rebbe himself, Atzmo, has to create, not net solim. So the before it comes on yichud abba v'ima is stimu d'chol stimin and very hidden. The main Gilui is in Chochmah. From there, he comes in Bina. The Mele, when you have Yichud Abba V'Ima, it doesn't mean Yichud Abba V'Ima. It means that you're activating an air to come from Kesef and Atik, and from much higher. You need Mesiras Nefesh, it's higher than Kelim. Says the Rebbe that Tzemach Tzedek, that when Atik comes down, everything is wonderful. Because in the Vayigash, why is it called Yichud Abba V'Imo? Says it's a Tzedek, even though it's talking about bringing from Keser. Because when the air comes in Chochmah Bina, that side of coming into Mamala. So it's a new air. So therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, to bring down this Ein Ein Sof, you have to have Mesiras Nefesh. You get Hamshocha Chadosh, you can't be me'eded that Hamshocha from Ein Sof Mamish. You have to have Mesiras Nefesh, and that arouses the Eibush, the Atzmo Sof, to come down the Mata to Yichud Abba V'Ima. Says the Alter Rebbe, we can understand this. It's explained elsewhere in Terei, in Parshas Chayesara, that Atzilus the Bia, even though it's a parsha, it's all say the same Seder Ishtalshalos. But higher than Atzilus should come, and Atzilus is higher than Seder Ishtalshalos. You need a Tzimtzum Amokim Ponoi. It's coming from Ein Arech L'Chom. It's coming from Chad V'lo B'chushpon. It's from Atik. You need Mesiras Nefesh. Says the Alter Rebbe, by a human being, he has Ishtalshalos and higher than Ishtalshalos. From Chochmah and lower is Ishtalshalos. Your faculties, your Seichel, your Midas, your Mashal Dibro Maise. So if you use your faculties, you bring from Seder Ishtalshalos. To make an Eir Chodosh from higher than Ishtalshalos, you need to go out of your box. You need to have Mesiras Nefesh. What in the Neshama it's higher than Seder Ishtalshalos, higher than Seichel. Seichel, compared to higher from Seichel, is like a Seder Ishtalshalos. When you have your Yechida and totally give yourself over to the Eibishter, you bring down from higher than Seder Ishtalshalos. But you need a Mesiras Nefesh. There's the Rebbe that Tzemach Tzedek. This is what the Prietz Chaim said in Sha'ar HaKrishma. There is Ruach and Nefesh. That's the Mayim Nukvin and Mayim Duchrin from Zun. Shomel and Neshama. Not Nefesh. Shomel and Neshama. That's connected to Abba V'Ima. What's Pshat in that Izel says at Tzemach Tzedek? Ruach v'nefesh is the in that keli it's your teiro mitzvahs. But to do yichud Abba V'Ima, you need to have legal, you need to have yechida. That's a shovel and a shovel. That brings that from Chai yechida. That's pshat in that Prietz Chaim, says the Tzemach Tzedek. Says the Alter Rebbe. We learned in the previous Maimer, started this Maimer with a Zayah. It seems like a cryptic Zayah, but now we'll understand it. What does it say in Raya Mehemna? That the first level of Kodesh is the Vov of Zod Atzilus going up to Choch. That Zod goes up at Pinas Man that has Yichud Abba V'Ima. That's Mesiras Nefesh by us. And Lamaylo it's Zod going to be Nichlel in Chochmah and losing its own identity. This and only this could make a Yichud Abba V'Ima. Chochmah that's Kedesh it's Ein, a Bina that's Yesh, should have a Yichud, and there should be an Eir Chodosh. And like we said before, that this comes from much higher and into Atzilus, and it has to go through Elam HaKudim also. This is the Pshat. Baruch Imer V'Ois. Amir is in Chochmah. Asi is in Bina. it has to go through the 32 Shemus Elokim and Ma'aser Bereishis. The 32 times it says a creation that Hashem created Elikim. It says Avayim Elikim. It's the 32 is Lamed Bezes Sivas Choch. This is Pshat. Kulam b'Chochma Asisa. Chochma is Chochma. Asisa is Bina, like we said before in Baruch Omer V'Oiseh. So the Eibishter Ein Sof shines in Chochma, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya's Chochma is big. And you realize that in Eid. And you realize Leis Mashavetz V'She Big Cloud. Bina is where it comes down into your faculties. It's yes. Explained elsewhere regarding the difference of Moichin the Abba. Moichin Dima says it's Tzemach Tzedek that Moichin Dima is Mocker say the Shtalstus. Moichin the Abba is high. What accomplishes that says the Alter Rebbe the Aliyas Havov. Vov is Shomayim. Shomayim is Zod Atzilis. To Kodesh, which is Chochma, which is Bitul, and only through then your Mamshech, the Hamshocha from Abba v'Ima, should be Mamshech, a new Hamshocha, in Sof, and create Me'ayin Liyes. And this is what he said in the previous Maimer.